Welcome, welcome, Nightlings. Episode 41 of the Horror Headquarters has begun. If you're just joining us for the first time, thank you for being here. Make sure to hit that follow button to officially instill yourself as a member of the Nightlings Club. If you're a returning Nightling, thank you so much for being a supporter of this podcast. Tonight, I will be executing a deep dive into my experiences at Salem. Many of you wanted this, so here we are. Sit back, relax, or go for a walk. This one's gonna be a good one. A creepy one. Let's begin. Now, as many of you may know, I have been in Salem before, but I think being in Salem again, this time solo, really showed me how powerful and positive it is. Everywhere I went, I felt good energy, and I was met with smiles and kind people, and the overall environment was so welcoming. Now, driving through different towns and reaching the city of Salem was, again, a repeat of my last time visiting. Only this time, the energy shifts were stronger and more quote unquote painful. What I mean by this is the feeling I had in different areas of my body, the most severe in my stomach and eyes. I had a huge sinking feeling at one moment, and I looked on my map and we had just entered Salem. I looked out the window and there was a sign that said, "Welcome to Salem." It's honestly crazy to even be discussing because it was a welcoming feeling. Yet it felt like a magnet was trying to force itself out of my eyes. There were many other shifts I felt on the way to the Hawthorne Hotel, but the strongest being as soon as I turned the corner and saw the Hawthorne Hotel. I had a sudden burning sensation on my face, and it felt as if my emotions were thrown into a tornado inside my stomach and caused me to have cramps in my arms. I know, weird. But, of course, walking into the Hawthorne for the first time was so magical. I know, I'm weird, I get it. But everything inside is extremely old fashioned, and it felt like I went back a whole century into this world of Nathaniel Hawthorne, who the hotel is named after, as well as the author of The Scarlet Letter and The House of the Seven Gables. Now, the elevator, as you guys probably remember from a previous episode that I did, was creepy as hell, and it kept making weird noises whenever I went inside one. My room didn't feel haunted, but that kind of disappointed me, I'm not gonna lie. But come nighttime, it felt like I was sleeping inside a haunted house. It always felt like I was being watched. But, I don't remember if I discussed this in the previous episode, but I swear, you guys, I saw someone waving at me one night from my bathroom. And I was too scared to even shut my eyes. Because I'm like, oh my god, what if something happens? There were also numerous times where I heard the screams of a lady coming from either outside my window or directly above me. I had asked the front desk if they received any complaints on the matter, and they said no. And I made it really casual. I'm like, did you guys get any complaints about screaming from the fourth floor or from somewhere outside the building? They're like, nope, we haven't received anything on that matter. But this makes me further think that it was a ghost that I was hearing. And one night, I decided to visit the so-called library that was in the basement of the hotel. And all that lied there was an empty room filled with tables and chairs. And I just walked in and was admiring everything. And I have to be honest, this big meeting room, it reminded me so much of Luigi's Mansion. If anyone's played that game or has heard of it, it reminded me just like it because I felt like someone was watching me, and there was also a bunch of paintings in there. But it was dead quiet, and I began to hear footsteps coming from the other end of the room, but no one was there. And the longer I was in there, the louder the footsteps were getting, so I ran outside the room and took the elevator back up to my room. But till this day, I wonder if it was possibly just someone outside the room walking, or if this was a ghost as well. It's something I still haven't meditated on yet, but I plan on doing it soon. Now, this might be a coincidence, but the next day, the day I was leaving, I went to the lobby, was checking out, and I passed by, and there was this sign right to the stairs that I took down the previous day to go to the library, quote unquote library, and it said closed until further notice. And I looked at it in like a really weird way. So I went to the front desk and I asked them, was there an issue that happened in the basement? They said, yeah, we had a very unexpected flooding. One of the pipes bursted. I'm like, oh, do we know what caused it? And they're like, no. I don't know. I'm like, probably not my business, but I was just interested. They said it's not going to have any impact on the AC though, don't worry, or any of the temperature control in the building. So it's something to worry about. It's something we just have to look further into to see who caused it. I'm like, wait. They said who caused it. So they're like assuming that it was someone that caused it. And that just left a really bad taste in my mouth and it just makes me think. So the more I meditate on it, the more I hope to discover more on it. Now, Salem itself was such a blast. I met so many amazing people that kept complimenting me and my outfit and my Twitches necklace that I wear, of course, all the time because it gives me very positive vibes and it makes me feel good and secure inside. But one of the biggest highlights was definitely going to Blackcraft, which is a clothing store that has like a coffee store inside and a haunted walkthrough that I absolutely adore. And I had been inside this store back in December when I visited Salem for the first time. And the people are just so kind and sweet, and they kept on complimenting my shirt. And I was wearing my horror headquarters shirt that day because I'm like, I'm gonna go around Salem and see if anyone likes my shirt. So many people did, and it made me feel so good. And so I'm like, I'm getting the word out about my podcast, and people are interested in like what I'm talking about, and like I was giving everyone like a synopsis about what my podcast is about. And another place I met someone really sweet was at the cafe inside of the store, inside the Blackcraft store in Salem. Her name was Drea, and she was absolutely a sweetheart. Like, I can't say enough things about her. But what I love is that we kindled a conversation about Coraline because Coraline music was playing inside the cafe. I'm like, oh, I know Coraline when I hear Coraline. And I'm like, you guys are playing Coraline music? And she's like, yeah, I love it so much. And we just kept talking about like all the hidden messages around it and like the soundtrack and the movie and the characters and all the theories. And I'm like, oh my god, you have to listen to my podcast because I'm going to be talking about Coraline soon. And I can't wait to discuss it because I feel like it's going to be like an hour-long episode, by the way. So everyone listening, prepare for that. But I'm going to be discussing all the tiny things and like everything about it because like I did one of my senior theses on Coraline from our film class and I learned so much and everyone loved it. So I am beyond pumped, but we just had a really great conversation and she gave me very positive, refreshing energy. And I have to be honest, it was kind of sad to like leave because I'm like, I feel like I could talk forever about horror with you, but just keep in contact. We ended up following each other on Instagram and she is a listener now, which makes me feel so great. So Drea, if you're listening, thank you so much for having that conversation with me and just being such a kind, welcoming energy in Salem. And I literally can't wait to come back. Like I'm so depressed because I want to come back now. Like Salem is my second home. It really does feel like my second home because I'm just happy there and I feel like that's where I'm meant to be. But I am excited to come back hopefully sometime in the fall, if not sooner. There's also this great cafe right next to Blackcraft, which is called the Gulu Gulu Cafe, but I call it Gile Gile because it just makes it funnier. But I was very surprised at how great the food was inside of there. Like, their Belgian waffles, you guys have got to try it if you're ever in town. Because, wow, I have never been so, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just so good. And the people are very kind. There was this guy wearing a Scream shirt. And, like, he saw my shirt. He's like, where did you get that shirt? I'm like, oh, it's from my podcast. And, like, we just had a great discussion about all things horror and everything. Again, what I'm saying, like everyone over there is so welcoming, and literally we had like a 5-minute conversation about it, and we just kept coming back to it, and I ended up coming back the next day. Sadly, he wasn't there, but I'm excited to be back. I told him about the podcast. He said he'll be taking a listen, so I'm hoping he's a listener as well. But I really miss Salem already. Like, I don't want to get emotional because it's just such a great place to be, and when I go back, either in September, October, August, whenever the fall is, I'm excited to see how like they decorate everything and how the town looks and the people are dressed up. But I will say, just going right now, people are still dressed up as witches and everything because a lot of them do celebrate the pagan religion and the religion that has to do with witches and wizards, but it's not as like creepy and magical as it is in like fairy tales and like movies. I did learn a lot about it on my last trip, and I'm like, wow, there's nothing wrong with this religion. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with religions in general, but just in this context, I got to learn a lot, and I respect that. I'm not gonna like insult them or make fun of them for that kind of stuff, but it's cool to see that people are their authentic self over there and they don't hide it. Now, attending the House of the Seven Gables and getting a tour was definitely the best experience I ever had, and also the creepiest. And I say this because going through the house, you realize all the history behind it and how it's literally still standing after over 300 years. That's terrifying, and I was also scared. Like, I made a joke. I'm like, all right, and what if it collapses on us? And they're like, oh well, when you buy a ticket, you basically sign a waiver away saying you can't sue us. I'm like, oh, that's great. But nothing happened. But I'm gonna be honest. I think the creepiest experience I had in that house was when we were in one of the living rooms, and I started feeling like really weird energy, as if someone was watching me. And there was like a bunch of paintings in this room, by the way, and I kind of blacked out and like completely forgot what the lady was talking about for like a good 20 seconds, and then I like snapped back into reality, and she's like, all right, we're gonna move into the next room now. And we like went in, and she's like, all right, I have something to discuss about the room we were just in. And I'm like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, I felt something in that room. And she's like, does anyone know what I want to discuss? And I rose my hand. I'm like, did someone die in there? And everyone started laughing. And she's like, yes, actually. I'm like, oh, oh, God. I'm like, I felt something as soon as we walked in that room. And now you're saying something happened in there. Someone died in there. Like, kind of freaked me out, but I was eager to know what it was. And she said that it stated that someone died in that room, but the thing is that they don't know who it is, and they don't know what house owner it was, but they have a hunch that it was probably one of the Hawthorns, and it has to do like with the last thing that was found in the room before it was turned into like a full-fledged museum and no one else lived there. So that's what I'm thinking it was, but I guess that's another mystery. Now, something about the House of the Seven Gables. Walking in, I realized how old-fashioned it was, and there was a lot of secret places that you could go throughout the house. Many of them closed off, but that wasn't exactly the scenario for every single situation. There was this extremely tiny staircase, and it was in this very narrow hallway. And what was covering it? A tiny door, or what you thought was a door, but she pulls open the door. It's extremely small. Like, I might have a picture of the staircase, but not of the door. It was very, very tiny, and I'm like, no, no way there's a hall down there. And heaven behold, it was a hallway that led to these extremely tiny old stairs. And she's like, does anyone want to go up them? And everyone was like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, this is where we're supposed to go next. You can either go up this tiny staircase or go up a regular sized staircase to the next room. And I'm just thinking, like, my thoughts were like contrasting with each other because I'm like, all right, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, but I have claustrophobia and I'm extremely terrified of really tight spaces. But maybe this will help me overcome it. Yeah, so you guys guessed it, I ended up going in it. And once you go in it, you can't turn back because these stairs are very narrow and old and they're very steep. And she's like, just letting you guys know, like, if you drop anything, whether it's your phone, car keys, a purse, it becomes a part of the exhibit and you cannot get it. That's how tight it was. And it kind of creeped me out, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is a good idea. But I went up it, and I was the last one that went up the staircase because ain't no way I'm having someone go behind me and something happen, or like they pushed me or in a rush to get up. Like took my time, went up the staircase, and somehow made it out alive. Obviously, because I'm speaking about it now. But I will say, not looking back at it, I'm happy that I did it, even though I'm very surprised in myself, because as soon as we got up, the tour guide told us that this is an experience that's not going to be lasting for much longer because of how old the stairs are getting and how dangerous it can be. So they're thinking like it's not going to be something that happens for a lot longer. So if you did it, you'll have part of history, I guess, or I don't know. It's just really interesting. But they did have these like stamps and cards that like say I found the secret staircase and I climbed it. And I bought one, of course, because I'm gonna put it on my Horror Headcutters t-shirt. Yeah, that's another thing. I have like a bunch of like press-ons or iron-ons, excuse me, that can go on a shirt, and I got a bunch of them from Salem. I'm gonna put them all over the very first Horror Headquarters t-shirt that I have for myself, and just start decorating it. So, yeah, that staircase was not a joke. You guys can search this up, like go on Google and search up the House of the Seven Gables secret staircase, and you will see pictures of how tiny it is, but I promise you, pictures do not give justice to how tiny that was. You also cannot record inside that building, which is why I don't have any videos of me inside of it, because they apparently can sue you if you get any videos of it. But they said you can take pictures and everything, but I was really hoping to take a video of me going up that staircase, but at the same time, like, is it worth it? Is it worth dropping my phone and not be able to get it again? Not exactly. Now, as for the places that I didn't visit, such as the Salem Witch Museum and a bunch of other locations, like the Witch is Tortured Museum or something like that, there was a reason behind all of that. Because there was a lot of places, such as those locations, that my intuition was telling me not to go to for some reason. Another one being the Proctor's Ledge, which is where all the witch trials were done. I was actually planning on going to this place the very first day, but I swear to you, I had the strongest feeling inside me telling me not to do it, that it would be a bad idea. And it got to the point where it made me sick because I was actually contemplating with my own intuition, going against my gut. But thank God I never ended up going because that same day there was a humongous accident right outside Proctor's Ledge because I was just like walking around the town and then I saw all these ambulances and everyone was like, "What's going on?" Everything. And like there was a girl that's like, "Yeah, there was a big accident at Proctor's Ledge." She's like, she was talking to someone. I'm like, "Oh my God." And it that just goes to show, let me just say, that just goes to show, don't go against your gut. Don't have your gut tell you something and then say, no, I'm gonna go against it. Because I promise you it will not turn out well. Like, I don't even want to fathom what could have happened to me if I was at Proctor's Lodge. But, I was thinking maybe I'll go another day, but nope. My buddy's like, don't do it. No, just leaving Salem was very sad because obviously I loved it there so dearly, but like, it just felt weird leaving, and like I wanted to like get out of the car and like just like be like, no, I'm gonna live here permanently and like never leave. Obviously you can't do that because I'm like, I got a plane to catch. So but Salem Witch Museum, I really wanted to go there again. I went there in December, but there was like this crying baby this whole time, like throughout the whole presentation, and I barely understood anything. But again, with the situation, something was telling me not to. And now the last thing that I want to discuss, the cemetery, the infamous cemetery where there are many unmarked graves. I was gonna go in there. And again, I feel like the universe was on my side because it ended up being closed. And in my previous video that I did, the previous podcast episode I did, I was like talking about how like crazy my luck is because online it said they close at 6, but I arrived at like 5:01 and they actually close at 5, and the 6 p.m. like time that they close isn't instilled until the next day. So like literally from like, let's say for example January 1st to May 14th or 15th, it's 10 to 5, and then May 16th to the end of the year, it's 10 to 6. So I was one day off, which got me thinking, like, okay, maybe it's just not meant to be. I will say, at least in this situation, I didn't have to overcome one of my greatest and most horrific fears. But I will say, just walking past that cemetery, you guys, so creepy. Like, I felt like crying everywhere because I felt like 1,000 eyes were on me and people were listening to me and could you like hear the thoughts inside my head. I'm like, I don't like that. And also, there was no one else there. No one else there. And like the way obviously I found out it was closed because I called like the main company. Like it actually made me call like a completely different location. They're like, "Oh, I'm not sure, but I don't think they open until 6 until tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I just found it on their website." But there was also that door that opened by itself, which was in the video. It just literally swung open by itself as I was walking up to the cemetery. So I don't know, just all these little tiny signs that make me think, wow, like wow. There's really just no way to explain it unless you've experienced something like that. But, I'm grateful to have gone again. I'm like so happy that I got to witness this all again and learn so much. But I am still beyond terrified of the Hawthorne Hotel and that person that whipped at me in the bathroom. Like, I keep coming back to that because I'm telling you guys, it was so, so scary. And I don't know if it was just my mind playing tricks on me or I was paranoid, but it felt extremely real, which makes me kind of not want to downplay my emotions and saying that it wasn't a ghost because there was someone in that bathroom waving at me. Like, I didn't see their face, but all I saw was their hand going up and down, waving at me from the right corner of the bathroom. Like, it gives me chills just thinking about it because, like, that person was there, you guys. That person was there coughing up. Why? But I don't know. I think I have to meditate on it more, just keep myself in a really safe spot in order to really understand what that was. I guess that's where my dream book will come in handy, as well as my tarot card set. So, I'll let you guys know obviously what happens, but just overall, Salem was so amazing, and I miss it dearly, and I want to go back now. See, like talking about it again, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fly out tomorrow and go again. But I just so blessed, guys. I'm just so blessed. Now, of course, I did have a photo shoot over there that I posted on my Instagram at the horror headquarters. If you guys have not seen it, go check it out. It was so much fun. I shot it inside the Hawthorne Hotel, and it was just so creepy and so fun. And I like did all these cool pictures, had this crazy makeup on my face, like did all these cool shots, like one in the shower, one behind one of the shades in the room, like of the window. I was just kind of giving nods to a bunch of films, like obviously the one in the shower, I was giving a nod to Psycho, and then The Woman in Black when I was behind the shade of the window, and obviously so many others that you guys may or may not have noticed as you guys are looking at the pictures. But there will be a part 2 up, by the way, of that photo shoot because there's so many more photos that I did that I can't wait to show you guys. But I just think having that opportunity to shoot inside one of the most haunted hotels in America, like, that's so iconic, you guys. Like, who gets to say that as much as I do? Obviously, there's other people that have done photo shoots in there. Like, there's been movies and like TV shows that have been shot there, but man, that's so cool. I should put that on my resume. But next time I go, I'm gonna be at the Merchant, so that's another haunted hotel where the Woman in Black originated. So that's something else to look forward to. But you guys, I have to say, these feelings driving away from Salem, there was many locations I pinpointed on my maps because I felt something attached to them. And I'm gonna do some research on them because there's one location called Kings Beach. It felt very, very haunted, but this wasn't in Salem. It was actually in Lynn, which is the town just outside of Salem. And just passing by it both ways, I felt something like kind of calling to me in a way. So next time I'm in Salem, I'm gonna stop by that beach, and I mean, it's gorgeous. There might not be anything, it might just be in my head, but that's the location I'm interested in looking into. And then there's another one where there was this rock ledge that like kept catching my attention, and I pinpointed it on the map, and the address is 222, which is my angel number, and you cannot call that a coincidence. I don't care what anyone says. We have reached our final destination for now, Nightlings. Thank you guys so much for hearing me out on this podcast, for just being here. I am just so grateful, and I miss Salem so much, and I truly hope to go back extremely soon. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you did, please make sure to share it all over social media. Share it with a friend that loves Salem, that lives in Salem, that's interested in going to Salem. And I hope this also inspires you to visit Salem, because there's just so much the town offers, and there's just really positive energy over there. And I love all the little gifts that I got, and I can't wait to start putting them to use. Obviously, the best one being the tarot card set. But, just take care of your guys' selves, and, if you have free time on your hands, go visit Salem. But I really enjoyed talking about this episode with you guys. I hope you all are doing well and taking care of yourselves. Make sure to follow us on social media, on Instagram at the Horror Headquarters, which is our main page where I'm the most active. But obviously, I do have Twitter at the Horror HQ and TikTok at the Horror Headquarters. And we do have YouTube, you guys. We are on YouTube now at the Horror Headquarters. You just search up on our podcast, will show up on there, being that Google Podcasts has been discontinued and has been taken up by YouTube. But I just want to say that starting in June, Spotify is making this really dumb update where they're gonna get rid of editing abilities for like podcasters, and you basically have to have a completed episode before you even add it onto the podcast. Now, to anyone that isn't a podcaster, that won't make any sense, but basically I want people to add in like edits and special sound effects on the app, which is kind of annoying and dumb because I really like a lot of the transitions on this app. But I'll just have to be using a different app to edit everything and to record and add sound effects and transitions in. But I'm sure it'll be bumpy transition, but a smooth one, and we'll see how that goes. But also, make sure you guys get a Horror Headquarters t-shirt. Like, I'm literally wearing mine right now. I don't know why you guys don't have one yet. It's on sale right now. And also, I will be providing a code for anyone that DMs me a screenshot of them listening to the podcast. You just simply DM me a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on Instagram at the Horror Headquarters, and I will send you a link to get the Horror Headquarters t-shirt on sale for Memorial Day weekend. So keep an eye out for that, and make sure to screenshot this, and you guys can get a cool discount code on this shirt, which is super duper comfy. But again, thank you guys so much. Please make sure to rate us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and follow us, and again, share it with your friends, you guys, because this is such a unique, special podcast, if I do say so myself. I'm not conceited, I swear. But I really do like talking about, all things horror, and there's just so much to come, you guys. And last week's episode, I do have to say thank you, everyone who streamed it and shared it and followed me, because that episode broke a record for most listens on any of my podcast episodes thus far in like 24 hours, which is crazy. And there's also another episode blowing up. It's called The Missing Girl that I did a while ago. That episode is going crazy right now. I don't know why, but I ain't complaining. But thank you guys so much. A new episode will be out soon. I know this episode is also being released super late, but there's just so much to come, you guys. I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are as well. But thank you again, and until next time, tread very lightly and pray for forgiveness. Midnight hour is approaching.